everyone. This is Janai here. I know we're just still waiting for some more folks to be added onto our webinar here. But if you can take a moment and feel free to enter your initial poll questions, this just helps me out to kind of better gauge and understand where folks are at within Mission Control and where they're at in the Salesforce ecosystem and their knowledge of Salesforce and Mission Control. So if you could take a second to answer that, that'll be great. And I'll wait for those folks to answer when they get a chance, as more folks are attending, are getting added to this call. Awesome. Well, welcome. I will get started today. Welcome, everyone. This is Janai here. I'll be leading our Cosmo Campfire today on the Project Grid feature. Please confirm if you guys can hear me and if you guys can see my project PowerPoint here. If you guys can chat that in the chat box or Q&A chat, that would be helpful as well. Awesome. Okay. I think I see a hands up. So I do see that folks are viewing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just want to make sure you guys are hearing me and that you guys can see my screen. So welcome everyone. This is our Cosmo Campfire for our Project Grid feature. This month, let me go ahead and end our poll here. Thank you for everyone who's um, completed that. That helps me to just better gauge where everyone is at in the system. If you to see who's on our call and if folks understand this new feature that we've launched out, or where folks are at just in the team overall. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us for our monthly Cosmo Campfire session, where we focus on a particular feature within Mission Control. This month, we'll be taking a look at our latest 1.8 update regarding the Project Grid tool. Um, Go forward. My name is Janaya. For those who don't know, I'm a customer service representative with Preca Business Solutions. I've been with the team about 3 to 4 years upcoming now, and so just a little bit more about myself. I'll be guiding us through what and demoing the grid tool to see what that looks like. So in this session, we'll be looking at the grid tab within Mission Control. The grid feature provides a dynamic view to interact with the key project layers in the project work breakdown structure. This allows you to easily group child records in your project, allows you to inline edit and filter or categorize the project data as needed to help you visualize what specific data you need to see or pull from this project. I highly recommend taking notes or just taking notes of what does this grid tool give you? What does it provide you? What does it do for you? And then feel free to put in your questions on a Q&A, and we'll make sure to answer all your questions at the end of this demonstration as well. At the very end of our Cosmo Campfire, we'll make sure to do a quick survey just to see what folks have retained regarding this tool. And so just make sure to take notes on these topics here. Looking at our objectives today, we'll make sure to cover off just really understanding the Project Grid tool, making sure you understand the application, the features that it provides, applying filters to the grid. We'll make sure to use the autosave feature and enable that through the setting. We'll also be able to group the data in the ways that you need to filter the data, to sort out the data, to pull the data that you need to see within your individual projects. But last and not least, we'll also be able to control access and field visibility through the field sets on the grid tool as well. So the main definition that we're looking at for this grid tool is that, and then what this provides is that it allows a dynamic view for you to interact with key project layers within your project work breakdown structure. So obviously the project work breakdown structure in Mission Control refers to the 7 layers that we have in a project, right? But specifically, if we're just looking at the project itself, we have the child layers under the project. So you have You have your milestones, your actions, your checklist items, your phases, but specifically the grid allows you to view only the actions or checklist items or both the actions and checklist items in your project. So why is this important? Let me go ahead and pull this up in our demo here. I'll make sure to pull my dev org so that we could come back to this. We're looking at our project here. Why is it important to to pay attention to the grid tool? The grid feature is available on the project overview page. We'll be able to see it on the overview tab, so it's not available on the standalone or anything. The grid tab is available on individual projects where you're able to view the overview and select the grid tab from this view. If you don't see it in your page or your project pages, it's because your admin has not granted access to this tab for you. Now, in order to get here, obviously, if you're starting with mission control, you can go into your projects, open up your individual projects, and open up your overview. It'll default to your overview or insights tab, and you can click on your grid tool. Right now, I've disabled, if you don't see it, as you can see on this page, you want to go to your row record and you want to edit your row record field that gives you access to this field. So if I go ahead, I just disabled that a second ago, but if I scroll down and look for the field called View Grid tab, you can enable that field and you can save that. Obviously, this is looking at your project overview settings in your row record. My default is set to my overview tab, but you want to give access to view that grid tab by giving your role access to it by enabling this checkbox. And then let's save that. And let's say you want to enable this for all your row records. You can go to your row records and go to the row permissions project overview page. You can mass update this for all your row records, like active row records in your org. I've added that automatically through select fields display. So I've added that here to see which roles have already mass updated that. So I've done that for all 17 of them right on the side here, view grid tab. So I've enabled that for all of them. Make sure that when you're editing, you've enabled this and you're updating that for marking this as true and clicking applying. So I've already gone ahead and done that. That will give you access to the role tab. Now, as we took a look at project management, it can be difficult to access where certain tasks are, see who owns them, and view the current status or progress. On other tabs, it can be overwhelming and a lot to look at, and it's difficult to filter through the data or see specific deadlines and track who easily owns them. However, within the grid, you don't have to dig or open other screens to filter the data that you need to see. You can simply open the grid tab and filter and sort the data right through right through our tool itself. So unlike the overview tab, you won't be able to inline edit on this page. However, it might be overwhelming with all these icons or dates, and it's a lot to look at generally. You could filter the data, which is great, but it doesn't allow inline editing, obviously. You could click your pencil icon and edit the data where needed. But the grid, however, allows you to inline edit right on the spot in regards to actions and checklist items. When we take a look at this feature top down, we'll be able to see that there are four important key features that the grid provides. It allows you to quickly scan your records at a glance. It allows you to sort and filter your group data instantly, like a spreadsheet. It allows you to inline edit capabilities where you don't have to open up a new screen, right? And last but not least, it has pre-built mission control tools available for you to, support collaboration, add notes, track data, and progress with our function icons on the left-hand side over here. So we have pre-built tools that help you edit and collaborate on these tasks within your project right away. So we'll make sure to review this tool top to bottom so you can see what you need to see on this. So out of the box default, we have We have, well, we have our columns that are defaulted for our actions here. Our data source is going to pull in all actions and checklist items, or if, let's say you only want to see checklist actions, it's going to filter only actions on your project so you can only see actions. Or if you just want to see checklist items in your project, then it'll just pull in checklist items in your project to this view. We're going to be looking at both today, so we'll stick to this data source for checklist items and actions on your project. On the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, I mean, we'll make sure to save this tool by you can obviously click it, the button save, or and there'll be a warning icon to let you know that something's been edited. Let's say that we update this to 105. Now, this automatically saved because I've gone ahead and enabled autosave. Now that feature is controlled on the gear setting icon that I just selected, where you can enable autosave feature, and this allows you to save instantly upon each update that you've made. So I've just removed that for a second, and its autosave is now turned off. So if I were to continue editing, right, and reset that, that little yellow icon is going to be available to us now. So if you prefer to keep enable autosave, then that will streamline editing processes for your team, right? Um, and the filter icon, if we open up our filter icon, we can also filter down. Let's say your project has numerous sub milestones and numerous actions within each, and you only want to see certain data. Um, in this case, if I only wanted to see, if I wanted to, similar to the project overview filter, um, if I only wanted to see all actions that belong to myself, Janaya, I can create that filter. I've saved that filter. However, I also want to make sure I've set the criteria for this filter where this equals, let's say, just say contains my name, and filtered logic is just one for action owner. So it's referring to me in this case. And before you click filter, make sure you save this first. Once that is saved, then we can filter the data in your project where I only want to see actions that belong to Janaya. And so right now it's going to filter that data out for you. And you can always refer back to, you can reset that and you can always refer back to that when needed. Obviously, this will be persistently remembered. So if you click away and you come back, you will see that the grid feature allows you um, to should let's see. Oh, I didn't save that. Let's click that. Let's filter that first. That will allow you to see that filter that's been persistently remembered once you filter that. So that green icon is going to be enabled. So if you are seeing only a limited number of actions, make sure you are reviewing what filter you are currently seeing. So let's make sure to reset that and just turn that off for now. So that gives us the broader at the top, the settings at the top. As we scroll down, we can see and hover over this icon that shows you how many columns and fields you can group by. So this is similar in a way where like to the spreadsheets where you can group the data in certain by certain columns, right, or fields. You have up to 3 columns in these actions and checklist items where you can group your data. And then these are saved as well. So um, let's go ahead and let's say I want to see all action owners. I want to group my project by how many of my action owners are working on how many tasks. I can see that Ryan has 3. Most folks have 3 or 4 assigned to them. Alongside that, I want to see how many of these action owners are actually in progress or in plan status. You can go ahead and filter that as well. So that's 2. And then furthermore, you can add those custom fields and keep filtering down up to 3 columns, right? You can filter that data up to 3. And let's say I want to sort that. You click that icon, that arrow icon that allows you to sort chronologically, right? So right now I have in progress planned. If I wanted to switch that from up and down status, then you can see that as well. Obviously, there's going to be some actions where they are complete and on hold and whatnot. Currently, we don't have that run right now, but you can see the sorting of option available to you. Um, you also are able to, let's say, like, okay, this is still maybe a little bit too much to look at. You can also filter that data down by looking at the action owner. So let's say I do just really want to see just actions that pertain to Ryan. You could type in Ryan's name and just it'll filter it down to just Ryan. So you don't necessarily need to use the filter on this if you're trying to just see actions that belong to Ryan. So right now I've set I just want to see actions that belong to Ryan. I've sort uh, which ways I want to see um, his actions that are in progress or planned. Um, and so on and so forth. And let's say I also want to group it by, because let me just get a rough idea of how many hours he's set for. Okay, looks like he's working on 20 hours. He still has about 175 hours in plan progress. So that's upcoming. However, if we scroll to the right, we can see what's priority, what's not priority, right? We can move those columns in the order that you want to see them as well, but this is just the original default. Um, so right now, I believe we can group up to three. So if you try to add more, it won't allow you to group more than three columns, which is expected behavior. So for now, let's stick with just this and remove Ryan. Along with the statuses available to us, we can group it. We can see that the group function, the function column is going to default and stay, the group column is going to stay the same. However, milestone and going forward, so milestone, action ID, action name, all the way to the last of priority, these are fields that you can customize. So let's say I do want to see only certain I want to customize these columns. I want to add or remove some of these. Like I don't need like milestone. Maybe I don't need action ID. You can go to the action field set and the checklist item field set to remove or customize these fields. So let's say I am on the back end and the way to customize them is by going to the object itself, by clicking on the field set, and it's going to refer to the grid specifically. So you can Command F, Control F to find the grid tool, right? As we click the field set for the grid, we could customize what order we want to see these in. So let's say I don't want to see milestone. Let's say I move my priority forward. Let's say I want to add a custom field. Like I have this custom field checkbox that I created called action is mandatory. Let's say I want to add some notes. I do want my team to see different types of notes. I think I have two different types of action notes that I want my team to see. And just typing them in here and dragging and dropping it into the field set and categorizing it as needed. Let's say I don't really need these total hours, so I'm going to remove those, and so on and so forth. So you could add as many or remove as many up to your team. So I'm just going to save this for now, and then we will see this update in the grid feature. So if we refresh this, we should see this update in a minute. That has should have been updated. We see that those total hours have been removed. We see my custom field called action is mandatory. Let's say I want to filter and I just want to see like these custom where actions were that I've marked as true, right? You can filter that down where needed. I looked at my priority. Let's say I want to filter that by high to low. Let's say I just want to see priority that is high on this project. And so you can filter that data as needed and just see all actions that are in high status, high priority, I mean. You can see your notes available to you. Um, the notes will give you like a rough number, but um, just notes on the side here. Um, and then let's save that for now. Oh, let's go ahead and remove these. And then the clear sort. So you can custom sort these up to three as well, right? So let's say we sh click shift and select the arrow. So I can sort up to three columns, and then I can also sort by hours if we need to. So I'm going to see up to three. You see the one, two, and three, the categorization in which it's been sorted. Let's say I wanted to clear that out, then you can clear that out as well. For now, I do want to see these priority statuses that are available to us. Awesome. So let's go ahead and reset these values. I can see my action owners. I can see how many actions folks are working on. I can see their actions available to them, and what specific criteria, custom fields that I've created that that I want to that I want to see as well. In this grid feature, you're also able to see our functions column. So obviously you have our resource assignment wizard. This is just allowing you to create those contributor records tied to this action right here called delivery director. Um, and so once you open that, it's going to bring you to the resource, open up that pop-up page where you can access the resource assignment wizard, and you can assign hours and contributors to other users. So maybe I just need Janaya to just work on some project management regarding to this task here, and I'm going to go ahead and save that. So that is referring to that there. It will turn green to let you know that, hey, there's a contributor tied to this action. If you wanted to log time, you can do so onto this action from the grid tool. That way the log time component is accessible as well. You could also add checklist items. So currently, we remove all of this information. The checklist items, this right now is just showing you all actions. If you wanted to open up your checklist items, then you see this little arrow accessible to you, and we can see that the checklist items are available under this action for Pradnya. So she has these checklist items. These are default fields as well. And if you wanted to customize those default fields for the checklist items, you want to go to the checklist item object available to you and select field sets. Obviously, the grid is going to be available to us right here, and you could customize that as well. So let's say I wanted to remove these and add more custom checklist item fields, then you can do so. So the functions are available here. If you need to delete checklist items or mark them as complete, then you can do so as well by inline editing, right? So you can inline edit your checklist items or your actions. Obviously, there's going to be some fields that you can't inline edit, like formula fields, roll-up summary fields. You can't inline edit these total formula fields, right? But you can inline edit, um, right, just normal text number fields, data type fields. Similar to this, we can inline edit where needed. We can update these dates on this project. We can update the action owner where needed, update the action name if you'd like. So inline editing is available to you. I've obviously turned off my autosave feature, so make sure that if you're inline editing, you're also saving every now and then as well. That is referring to our checklist items. If you scroll up, you'll see that this yellow icon has now been turned on. This is referring to issues tied to this action specifically. So this is going to remind you that, hey, this action has now been um, turned on. I've created issues related to this action. So you can go ahead and create your issues on your issue manager. You can also split your action. So let's say you wanted to split this action, these hours for this per Pradnya in half. You could do so by using the action splitter tool. That just allows you to split the action and assign the new hours onto the new action where needed, similar to the project overview tab. So this is the current action and then the new action, and then you can save that as well. We also have, if you needed to open and edit more fields regarding to this action, then yes, you can click the pencil icon to edit the actions. Now, all these fields are fields available on your action page layout, so that's why it's going to show up just like an action record. If you needed to delete an action, the delete trash icon is available as for you as well. Awesome. I believe we've touched on filtering out the data, adding custom fields onto this. One last item I wanted to show was just adding the colors, right? So right now we do see our prioritization. I've colored these myself. So let's say that I've gone ahead and I've gone to the specific field itself. So that priority field is located on the action field called priority, right? This field. And I've chosen these colors for myself, but you can customize what that looks like for you and your team by just editing that in the back end here. I've added those colors myself by just editing here. If you wanted to activate that, you could by adding those chart colors for you. For now, I've left them as is, and I've just been editing them. So if I update that to medium, obviously low is going to turn it to green, so on and so forth. You could also customize your action status colors. So if you were to go to your control pad on your mission control console page, those action status colors are controlled on the tile setting called custom settings. Now, if you go to your custom settings and you edit your status value settings, these are this will show you the hexadecimal color for each of the colors that you're referring to, right? So you have to put in that number specifically for that to appear. Let's see if that number will appear for us. Sure if that, there you go. It will, at least it's gray. But that value, once you put in those hexadecimal format colors, then those colors will appear per status value. Once those have been saved, you can save that in your settings and you can apply that, and those settings will be applied on your grid as well. So right now my statuses are grayed out for planned status. Obviously you can customize that for those colors for planned, on hold, complete, canceled, right? So, and you can filter, right? You can filter. I only want to see actions that are in progress or planned in your filter setting as well, so on and so forth. So that gives us an overview of our project grid tool. As we head back, let me just pull in our feature here. Feel free to type any questions that you might have onto our Q&A chat channel, and that way I'll make sure to respond from here. Now, I do have a quick quiz and survey. We are adding this quiz at the end of our Cosmo Campfires just to have more engagement and involvement. If you have any questions regarding, um, that you've taken notes regarding this, then, you can feel free to answer. Whoever answers the quiz the first and answers the quiz correctly, I'll make sure to reach out to you and email you regarding that and to see who answers the quiz first to send you mission control swag. I believe, John, you mentioned will contributors show up in the grid or only the action owners? So the grid only shows action owners, well, actions and checklist items. It doesn't pull in contributors. So the only way for you to be aware if there's contributors tied to an action is through the resource planner green icon, right? So kind of like how we had shown earlier. If we were taking a look at our grid here, it won't pull in and sort and group by contributors. It's only going to group by actions and checklist items. We would know if there's contributors, if obviously we have those records available to us through the green icon here. So I can kind of take a note of what has been listed, um, and I can see what contributors have been tied to this action specifically. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you. Um, Please let me know if you guys have any more questions. I'm gonna make sure. I'm just gonna look at our other chat. Okay. All right. I don't. Is there a grid view for multiple projects? Will this assist while having the ability to manage time for multiple projects? Currently, the grid view is only available on in the project overview per project. So the grid is not available on the standalone that it can where it can pull in multiple projects. No, it can only pull in right now. It's only as accessible on the project individual projects themselves through the overview tab right here. So no, it cannot pull in multiple projects currently. However, that our team is has that in mind. They know that, and they that in the future have considered that for sure to be able to pull in multiple projects. Perfect. Thank you, Patrice. All right. I think I've answered all your questions. If you have anything, feel free to email me at support@aprika.com. I'll make sure to go into further detail as well if you have any questions regarding that. So right now, what I typically like to do is set up a quick poll. I want to make sure, let's just, I want to see if folks can get ready for our quiz. This will be a short quiz just to help folks understand mission control. So if you could take a minute there to answer these questions, that'll be super helpful. And I'll make sure to reach out to whoever answers these questions correctly um, later this afternoon. Emily, you asked, is there a way the values of the columns can be summed at the top or at the bottom? Like a summary total hours, as I think that's what you're referring to, Emily. So if you Yeah, so if we don't have a summary option, however, I could add that as a feature request to summarize that. I've considered that myself just because it's like if I want to group it by milestone, let's say, and see all my actions per milestone, and maybe you want to have like a subgroup category to see how many hours are in all those actions under the milestone and so on and so forth, and at the total under the total project. So we can add that as a feature request. Currently, there is not a total field at the row or anything like that. Let's see, if you, depending, you could kind of group it by the hours scheduled. So that's kind of the closest it would kind of get you just to see just really quickly a snapshot of what those hours look like, right? So if I wanted to just collapse them, then I could do that as well. Perfect. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. Yeah. I'll make sure to add that to our team. And then the other request that Patrice asked regarding the ability to add multiple projects in the grid view. Yeah. Awesome. We'll just take one more minute to have folks answer our poll and quiz survey at the end here. Let me know if you have any questions regarding these. Awesome. It looks like out of all our participants, we have about 70% of the attendees have answered the quiz. So I'll just wait a minute And then we can kind of review those questions as needed as well. Awesome. So I think I'll go ahead and end this poll. Let me know if, before I end it, let's make sure to answer these questions so we are aware. So, what does the project grid do, right? So, I believe about half of you guys got this correct. If we scroll back here, we'll see that this project grid allows us to dynamically view the project work breakdown structure, right? So it allows you to see key project layers within your project breakdown structure and be able to, for you, ability adds you, gives you the ability to interact with them in regards to actions and checklist items and grouping and filtering them. So yes, the answer is C, view and interact with key project work breakdown structure. Within the grid, can you view and group um, milestones, actions, checklist items, and phases? No, you cannot group milestones and phases. However, well, you can group the fields if it's a lookup field on the action. However, the data that it's grouping and pulling from are the fields on the action object and the checklist item object. So those are the two objects that you can pull from, if that makes sense. So it only allows you to pull in the fields that are available on the action object or the checklist item object only currently right now. True or false, can you apply custom fields up to 4 columns for both action and checklist item layers on the grid? No, this is incorrect. You can only apply up to 3 custom columns, not 4. So that was kind of like a trick question there, but just so that folks knew is all. So the max that you can sort up to is 3 custom columns, not 4. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for answering that. I really appreciate that. And I'll go forward. If you have any questions, feel free to send those over to support at Aprika, and I'm happy to open up a case and follow up with you there. Feel free to get in touch with us on our support case queue or look at our training videos and user guides as well. Our resources available to us to help you better understand mission control. Awesome. Thank you for joining our Cosmo Campfire, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.